Welcome back. I'm Britt Hume, and this is On the Record. The city of Charlotte is preparing for another possible night of racial violence. We'll have more on that in just a moment. First, though, our nightly snapshot of the presidential race. The Real Clear Politics polling average continues to suggest there's been some movement in Hillary Clinton's direction. She now holds a 2.6-point lead in a two-way race and a 1.6-point lead in a four-way race, and we'll get to more on that shortly. But first to Charlotte, where the ugly face of racial division has been on display since a black man was shot to death by police on Tuesday. For the latest, we turn to Fox News correspondent Steve Harrigan, who is in Charlotte. Steve?
We're in an uncertain mood here, real tension as the sun begins to set. We're seeing a lot less movement on the streets, fewer cars out, as people prepare for what could be another night of violence. These scenes are being repeated across the downtown area. People either removing glass from windows and preventatively replacing it with plywood, or else replacing broken glass. Preparing not for a storm, not for a hurricane, but for another night of possible human violence. We've seen small numbers already begin to gather in some of the parks. That's how it went last night as well. Often parents with young children marching. We'll see if they're going to be out again tonight after that violence. At its height last night, the numbers were about 800. It really turned sour and began to get violent just before 9 o'clock. That's when protesters and police began to battle on the street behind me here. That battle lasted about 4 hours. It was a real back and forth, with the police firing tear gas, firing rubber bullets. In turn, the protesters were wearing masks and hurling bottles at those police. The police are promising it's going to be a different night tonight. With a state of emergency in effect, they are promising greater numbers out on the street, not just police, but state troopers as well as the National Guard. Also, the tactics should be different tonight as well. There were just 40 arrests made last night despite violence and direct confrontations, which put at least 3 policemen in the hospital with minor injuries. The police say at the first sign of bad behavior tonight, arrests will be made. Britt, back to you.
Steve, one question. I know the family was supposed to, the family of the man who was shot on Tuesday was supposed to be shown the video that the police have of that shooting. Do you know what happened there and what came of that?
We have been told that the family did see the videotape. We're hearing different reports of what can be learned from that videotape. According to police officials, it's not clear one way or the other what can be learned from that. The real key question has been why it hasn't been released so far 2 days in. Concerns that if it did show the dead man wielding a gun with imminent threat to the police officers, why that's not out there yet. Perhaps that video is inconclusive. The family has seen it. Their lawyers have not yet. Britt.
All right, Steve, thanks very much. Stay safe. To get a sense of how raw emotions can become on the issue of race and the police, listen to this exchange from Fox News this morning.
We have got, as a country, have to do some soul searching to figure out how we end what is bad relations between police departments and communities of color. This goes beyond just what's happening in the 2000s. Think about Rodney King. Think about Sean Bell, who was shot 42 times at his bachelor party by police departments. This is a real problem in this country that we have got to address, and it's not going to change overnight. Yeah. But we've got to understand that anger.
Total nonsense. The fact of the matter is Richard has no more information than anybody else, and he's completely jumped to a conclusion. Last night he and I debated this, and he said, why can't we rush to judgment? Why do we have to wait for justice? This is nonsense.
You are the problem in this country. When Hillary Clinton
said, you are the problem, Richard,
when Hillary Clinton says there's a basket of deplorables, you are a deplorable.
Richard conveniently forgets that the President of the United States is black, the Attorney General is black,
there we go.
The Democrat that runs that city is there, the police chief is black. He wants to forget that. The other thing that Richard wants to forget.
Richard, be quiet. Let him finish.
It has nothing to do with color for me, because you know what? There are white people who've been killed. There are Asian people who were killed. Richard can't name one of them because he's an ethnocentric racist who only focuses on black issues, and he doesn't care about the real statistics of it.
I'm a racist.
He's just gonna
Wow. To discuss this issue further, we turn to a former policeman who is now a criminal defense lawyer here in Washington.